Hey guys, it's Scott with Scottie B Cards, and in this video I want to talk all about Bobby Witt Jr. I was wrong about Bobby Witt Jr. I didn't think he was bad. I didn't think he was going to be a bust. I didn't think any of that. But over the last 3 years, I have had the personal belief, and it's probably reflected in my videos, that I prefer Julio Rodriguez over Bobby Witt Jr. And this is an interesting exercise because it just shows how difficult it can be to evaluate the first few years of a player's performance against other young players and why looking at young players can be dangerous. But I do want to point this out. I don't think Julio Rodriguez stinks or is a bad player by any stretch of the imagination, but the year Bobby Witt Jr. is having right now is a complete breakout year, and I want to compare the last few years of Julio and Bobby Witt and their card prices and everything in between. So a few disclaimers: I own 0 cards of either of these players. They're just not the players I collect. And so when I'm saying my takes on these players, I have no incentive to hype one or like really bash the other one. I have no loyalty for either player. I can tomorrow say like, Julio did something that I thought was dumb, and I'm okay saying I don't like his cards for X reason now. Same with Witt. I think the jury is still out on both players. Obviously, Julio's having a tough year. He's hurt right now. He has about 2 B WAR, and on top of that, he's about league average offensively, plus on defense, and I think about average on the base paths. Big step back from where we expected him to be. Always a slow starter, but he never really got going. But that doesn't mean Bobby Witt Jr. is going to be by far the best buy ever compared to Julio Rodriguez. We'll have to see what happens, but I do think Bobby Witt Jr. has shown his ceiling is incredibly high, especially because he's been able to take the weak parts of his game and make them good. It's insane what he's done, and we'll talk about that. And like I mentioned, I've had a bias towards Julio Rodriguez since 2022. I've always liked Julio Rodriguez. I don't know what it was, but I've always liked him. I can't help that. I do love analytics, and we're going to go over some analytics, and some people it's going to annoy them because they think I look at analytics too much, but that's how I enjoy baseball cards and baseball. So it is what it is, and I think a lot of my viewers feel the same way. So let's talk about 2022. This is the season that both players had. So we can see Julio Rodriguez had 6.2 WAR, Bobby Witt Jr. had 0.9 WAR, 102 OPS plus for Bobby Witt Jr., 147 for Julio Rodriguez, and on top of that, if we actually look at this, Witt is 1 year older, being at 21 versus Julio at 20. Witt is the worst defensive shortstop in Major League Baseball. He actually took reps at third base. We were all concerned he was moving to third base, all of which was concerning. He is the fastest player in baseball this specific year, which was great, but defensively he was bad. Offensively he was league average. He was older than Julio. A lot of reasons to be leaning Julio over Witt. Julio was a top 5 defensive center fielder. He finished with 6.2 WAR, top 10 MVP finish, and 1 Rookie of the Year. Witt again finished with 0.9 WAR. The, second worst, I think I said the worst, but second worst shortstop outs above average in baseball, and 4th in Rookie of the Year voting. Here are their stats. You can see Witt had a 722 OPS, largely because of his 294 on base percentage. And I was talking to my friend Filmington, and I said, man, if he could just improve his defense, his WAR would have been insane. He would have been great if he could just be a good plus defender because he was so bad. And what did he do the next year? He did that. And it's impressive that he's able to improve those flaws. So Witt became an elite defensive player at shortstop. Witt and Julio both have 30-30 seasons. This is last year. Witt still struggles with on base and finishes with a 319 on base percentage, which isn't great for a superstar. Julio was awful the first half, but finishes the season really strong. I remember a lot of discourse around his cards. They actually dropped and they went crazy again later in the year. Finishes top 5 in MVP voting this year as Silver Slugger and a 130 OPS plus. Witt actually finishes with a 117 OPS plus and is top 10 MVP voting, but he does not get to 30-50, still just a 30-40 season, which is pretty insane. Again, the stats are a lot better this particular year. That brings us to today. Where are we at today? Julio is struggling offensively and has been injured. He's been league average offensively. He has been above average defensively, sitting at 1.9 WAR. F WAR, I think he's at 2.1 B WAR. Either way, just not the season that we were expecting. You can see right here are the first 2 seasons. This is actually Julio right here. He went from a 284, 853 down to a 275, 818 down to 263 and a 687 OPS plus. He did have a 30-30 season last year and was above average defender, but he was worse defensively than he was his rookie year. He's actually been good defensively this year, but it's just been brutal. Then we look at Bobby Witt Jr. These stats are from what day? From Wednesday, and yesterday he had like a massive game in Boston with like a bunch of crazy stats. These are a little bit older, so he's even better now. But regardless, he's at a 7.2 WAR. He's looking at an OPS plus above 170 right now after that game. He's actually leading the league in batting average, and he still has 25 stolen bases, 20 home runs, on pace for a 30-30 season again. It's just, he's obviously going to be a top 3 MVP candidate. So I think it's just interesting to discuss. Here are their careers summed for the last 3 years. So yes, Julio still has an advantage because he was so much better the first 2 years, but this is one of those things where even myself, I fall short with this, is is you can judge players too quickly. Some players, they tend to take a year or two to become themselves. Mike Trout in 2011 was not good. He was not good. A lot of people probably sold his cards because of it, because they were still worth money. People couldn't figure out why. And then Mike Trout became Mike Trout in 2012, and now Mike Trout's just hurt. But regardless, he was good. And Bobby could be following that same path of development. The only issue is he is 24. Does that bug me? Not really, because his ceiling is so high and he's really hot. But the hard thing is with both these players, is there a chance that either of them are Hall of Famers? Absolutely. Is there a chance neither of them are? Yes. And then before you get mad at me for saying that, you have to have a really long career to make the Hall of Fame. And I do think both of these players have the potential to do so, but definitely I was wrong about Bobby Witt Jr. I think his ceiling beats Julio's at this point, and I think that he's going to probably have a better career than Julio at this point. But again, 24 versus 23, it can all change next year. And this is just the interesting thing about baseball cards, analytics, looking at this, trying to predict what cards to buy, it can be hard. And so for some people, it might bug them I don't have these type of players' cards, but I would rather pay a little bit more later once I've seen established performance and I feel more confident than just a little bit of hype because they're fast and better defenders because they're younger. And Bobby Witt Jr. is kind of proving that to me right now. I do want to show a few more analytics from him. He's 99th percentile in hitting, in running, because he's the fastest player in baseball, and defensively. That's a pretty good combination. It usually helps you become number one in F4 Major League Baseball. Might be behind Judge. I haven't looked this morning after Judge had a good game too. Actually, a good doubleheader. But outs above average, 100th percentile, sprint speed 100th percentile. He's very good. And I do want to show him improving season to season, because I remember I mentioned that the first year I said if he could just improve defensively, man, he's going to be great. And then I said, well, if he can just improve his on base percentage, the next year he's going to be even better. And what did he do? He improved his on base percentage so far this year. He has a 389 OBP. It helps when your batting average is 343, but still that shows how much he's improved. If we go look at his analytics year over year, you're going to see his walk rate has gone up, still low at 6.9%, but it is going up, and his strikeout rate has gone down year over year. 15.3% strikeout rate is really good. If he can maintain that and get his walk rate higher, we can look at his expected batting average. It's a 328 right now, partially because of harder contact, an actual exit velocity of 92.7 miles per hour. That's well above 2 miles an hour higher than his previously 2 years. Had a 117 max exit velocity. All of this is really good, and overall it just shows he's progressing. I do want to show his outs above average year over year. Negative 11 in 2022, again second worst for shortstops. In 2023 he had 14. So far in 2024, not even in middle of August, he has 15 outs above average. So it just goes to show how he's able to improve. The next thing he needs to improve is his home road splits. I don't have those up, but I will pull this up momentarily. We can look at them. But before we do that, let's talk cards. This is a baseball card channel. So here we can see the Bowman Chrome autograph of Bobby Witt Jr. and Julio Rodriguez. Julio is the blue line, Bobby Witt is the yellow line. And you might be wondering why I use Bowman Chrome autographs in PSA 10 condition. It's just easy. It's easy to understand what they are. It's easy to track them, all of that. So this is the first time they kind of went back and forth. Julio started out way higher in 2023. This is the last year, but now we can see that outside of this one outlier sale of Julio, he is sitting below $1,000, while Bobby Witt, he's actually been above $1,250 pretty consistently. So this is the reason why Bobby Witt is really trending. Is he still a good buy? I don't know about that. For the short term, maybe in the long run, it's up to you if you believe in him. And then you can see the refractor of each player. Julio is the dark blue, Bobby Witt is the light blue. We can see actually this cross point in April of this year happening, and now there's going to be some separation over the next little bit, most likely if Julio doesn't come back strong. Then we can see the gold Bowman Chrome autograph, BJ's 9.5. Julio Rodriguez was like a $20,000 card at one point, and now he's sitting roughly at $5,000. Bobby Witt Jr. is upwards of about $7.5 to $10,000. So we're seeing a big increase on these card prices, justifiably so with the year he's having. 24 years old on the Royals. People really like him. The one thing that he does need to actually correct is going to be his home road splits. So if you go to his splits for 2024 and scroll down to the home and away, we can see at home he has a 1.194 OPS with a 409 batting average, and home runs is actually pretty even. But on the road, he's hitting 288 with a 798 OPS. So that's the next thing. People are saying he's cheating. I don't think he's cheating. Some people can just see the ball well at Kauffman Stadium and see the ball worse on the road. It is what it is, and if he has an 800 OPS on the road and can stay above 1,000 at home, he's going to be a 900 OPS guy for his career, and that's pretty dang good. So that's my thoughts on Bobby Witt. I did want to say I was kind of wrong about him. Not that I hate Bobby Witt or didn't believe in him fully, but I was always preferring Julio, and it's just interesting to see how that can change so quickly with young guys and the risk of buying young guys and spending money on young guys. And at the end of the day, buy the players you believe in, because people like me, we have takes. Julio's been good. He's been great. Technically, according to WAR, better in the last 3 years. But we obviously can tell Bobby Witt is becoming a different type of animal at this point. It's good to see, and I'm excited to see it and happy for Royals fans. I always have a soft spot for the Royals because of Billy Butler. So go Royals. Good luck with Bobby Witt. Hope you make the playoffs and have a good run. And other than that, I will see you in the next video.